I have some snacks now. I don't know what it is, but being in a mortuary just really builds up an appetite.
Edwards must have some very good friends in the department who have gotten this custom-made table. It does suit the room, though.
It's pretty damn nice.
Nice pair of legs.
Bill, they're so inappropriate.
Edwards keeps assorted bottles and specimens in there. Nothing too remarkable that I can see.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
Those are some nice goggles you got there, man.
Keeping busy down here, Edwards?
Oh, you know me. I've always got my hands in someone.
Edwards always did have a way with words.
This postmortem was just a formality, really. The victim died of a gunshot wound to the head. Last week, though, we had a real kicker. An old man was brought in, and though he appeared quite dead, I was told that he'd been in a trance for over half a year. Apparently, he was hypnotized right at the point of death, and somehow managed to remain alive, in a fashion. In any case, when I began performing the exam, his entire body decayed into a putrefied mess within minutes. It was fascinating.
Should you really be giving me these details, Edwards?
Oh hell, I don't mind telling you, Miles. It's not like you're going to go tell Snelling. Besides, you're the only one who's come to see me all week. Dead people make lousy conversationalists.
Hey, I take offense to that statement.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how talkative they can be. But that's a fascinating story. Can you tell us more of these gory stories?
So, Snelling got promoted to chief, did he?
Yes, not too long after you left. Personally, I think he took advantage of your situation to change things around here.
Was it really that much of a shock? Bill and I weren't exactly the most well-liked detectives on the force.
But you were respected. You two solved over 350 cases in 15 years. You were an institution.
Damn right we were. It's so easy for people to resent their more successful peers.
Ah, Edwards. Nice to know someone missed us. You didn't examine Bill after he died, did you?
Ha! He wishes.
No, there was nothing inconclusive about his death. He died from impact after falling from the roof of a building. Why, was there something else I should have looked into?
No, I was just curious.
As fond as I am of Edwards, it would have been a bit much for him to go poking around my insides.
I found this piece of burned cloth at the crime scene. Could you take a look at it for me?
What do you need me to look at exactly?
It appears to have some oily residue on it.
Interesting. I'm afraid I have my hands full right now, but you can feel free to use my workbench if you'd like.
To do what exactly?
Surely they taught you something about basic chemical analysis when you worked here.
Yes, well, I always let Bill handle the more technical aspects of our cases.
A real pity I'm not around to help you anymore, isn't it?
But I'll have a look and see if something comes back to me. I've got these human ashes from a crime scene.
Straight to the point. I knew I liked you for a reason, Fordham. Who do they belong to?
Desiree Lathan. She was a Gascon Grand Dame.
Oh, of course. I heard about that case. She was found burned in her home, wasn't she?
That's right.
I meant to go over there later today.
Well, then I suppose I've saved you the journey. Would you have a look at these?
Does this mean you're officially on the case?
Not as such. In fact, I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention I'd been here.
Ah, clandestine operation. Sneaking around under Snelling's nose.
I don't have much of a choice. I'm pretty much persona non grata around here these days.
Well, you're always welcome in my mortuary. Preferably while still breathing, of course. Anyway, I'll just take those ashes off your hands. I'm sure your social life will soon improve.
Yes, I was making quite the impression.
This is an interesting choice of container.
It was either that or carry them around in my bare hands.
Well, I'm a bit busy right now, but I should have something for you within the next couple of hours. But you do realize the information won't be exclusive to you. I'll have to pass it on to the detectives on the case.
Naturally. That just gives me more of an incentive to work quickly. Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
What a nice chap. I will gladly visit your mortuary again. Now, you said something about your workbench. Maybe we can, figure out that oily rag situation.
It's been ages since we got to do any type of chemical analysis. This will be grand!
Dr. Edwards, could you remind me what it is I'm meant to be doing?
Yes, of course. Go ahead and get as much of that oily residue from the cloth into the petri dish. Good. Now add some of the chemical reagent in the red bottle to the dish.
Looks like ammonium chloride. Won't be of much use to us in this experiment.
Interesting. It's there, though. Gotta love the sound effects.
Aha! The oil turned orange.
Yes! The reagent has caused a chemical reaction and changed the oil's color. Isn't science fun?
Quite. But how does this help me?
I have some samples of the most common types of flammable oils on the shelf. Go ahead and add them to the test tubes. Good. Now simply check each one with the reagent to see if you can find a match.
And if I don't find one?
Then I suggest going out and looking for more oil samples.
What am I doing? Oh, I get it.
Well, oil be damned. Looks like that's not a match. Oh, you love it.
I was just gonna say, I mean, Bill is adorable. He has the best puns. Kerosene. Let's see what color kerosene turns out to be. It's probably not gonna be any of these. Or maybe a combination. Green.
So much for kerosene being the culprit. Too bad. I would have bet on it being coal oil.
I just want to check to see if I can combine oils. Because this one was yellow. Can I add another oil to it? Yes, yes I can. So that's going to be the ticket. But this one was blue, and this one was green. This one was yellow. I need one more oil that turns red, so we can make orange. So it's probably coal oil and something else that will be in here. But let's mix it. So that's yellow. Let's make blue.
Better dispose of the sample currently in the petri dish.
Ah, okay. Well, never mind then. We can't combine things. I thought we could make multiple colors. Never mind.
Looks like ammonium We already confirmed this isn't the right substance, Miles. You're just wasting time now.
So now we have to proceed with the story, I guess, until Dr. Andrews, was that his name? Until he's done with the sample, with the ash sample. So what else can we do? I have that hair appointment thing lined up. I'm just gonna try and chat with her again before we proceed with that, because I think that's kind of the way we should go. Hey, I'm not stinky anymore. Can you talk to me now?
I may have more questions for you later.
I can scarcely contain my excitement.
Alright, darling. I'll be back. Or Adelaide. Adelaide will be back. And I'm just gonna go around all these locations and see if there's anything else I can find out before we do the hair appointment, because that kind of seems like a monumental thing to do. And I just want to make sure that Addie is prepared with all the juicy questions.
We haven't got anything else to ask him about right now.
Oh, we can talk to you about your wife. Your really disturbed wife.
Mr. Andrews.
Yes?
Tobias, that's right. What happened to the cat?
Is there anything you can tell me about your wife's old cat, Tobias?
Oh God, there's a name I was hoping never to hear again. She loved that cat. I'm sure she would have married it instead of me if she could. Mangy little bastard was always leaving a mess and knocking things over, but he was Peggy's little angel. Then one day I'd had enough, so I let him outside and...
Yes?
The stupid thing managed to get itself killed! then things got ugly.
How so?
Peggy got a bit carried away and... Well, let's just say I never imagined a cat could earn someone a criminal record.
The plot thickens. Or perhaps sickens.
What do you mean? What did she do?
Thanks for your time, Mr. Andrews.
A criminal record, eh? Maybe Upton knows a little bit about that. Because he doesn't seem to want to tell us.
We haven't got anything else to ask him about right now.
Alright. The plot thickens about this cat business.
Nothing more to ask her about right now. Leave her to her... friends.
Friends, yeah. Nice way to put it. Poor lady. Poor deranged lady. We still need proof. They should just, get out and read the newspaper.
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yes?
Yes. Thanks for your time. I don't have a document yet.
I appreciate your time.
Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
I wail.
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
Aha, what can you tell me about this lady's criminal record?
I need some information on one Margaret Andrews. Apparently, she has a criminal record.
Margaret Andrews, eh? Give me a moment to look her up in the archives. Yes, here we are. Margaret Andrews was brought in for questioning 5 years ago in connection with a fire at a theater in Worcester.
Oh?
Yes, nothing came of it, but she was briefly a suspect. Oh, there's more. She also had a prior conviction for arson.
You don't say.
The file says she set fire to a cab after the driver ran over her cat.
Wow.
She served 6 months in prison for that. This was back in 1835.
Fascinating.
Thank you for your help, Upton. This has been extremely valuable.
So, Margaret Andrews has a jealous streak and a penchant for setting things on fire. Seems a likely culprit to me.
Interesting. Definitely kind of incriminates her, but she said she never met the victim. I don't know, she might be lying, but she is also a little deranged. And an ex-con.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
When's the coroner ready? Are you ready, mate?
Have you had a chance to look at those ashes I gave you?
Yes, I have.
Perfect.
Unfortunately, there isn't much I can tell you. The victim burned to death at a very high temperature. These ashes are greasy and putrid because of liquefied fat from the body, which burned like a candle. As to what caused her to burn, I cannot say without more evidence. I'm sorry, Miles.
It's quite all right, Edwards. I appreciate the information nonetheless.
Well, just so you don't go away empty-handed, have a copy of my report. Maybe it will be of some use.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
Maybe I can bring him more evidence and... Well, now I have a document that kind of, proves her death. And I can go to that lawyer place. Coroner's report. Age 63. Died as a result of burning to death. Cause of fire is undetermined. Alright. So I guess that'll do. Hey, so your wife is kind of, intense.
Nothing else to ask him about right now.
You really?
We haven't got anything else to...
No, nothing to ask, eh? Maybe I should have a chat with Margaret again.
Nothing more to ask her about right now.
Fine, I'll leave her to her friends.
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yes?
Yes.
Perhaps Mr. Usher will see me when he sees this.
Oh, what's that?
A report from Dr. Malcolm Edwards, the city coroner, confirming Miss Lathan's untimely demise.
Let me see that. Oh my. Wait one moment, would you?
Martin, what is the meaning of this?
The gentleman who brought that is a private investigator. He's waiting outside to see you.
Send him in, then.
You heard him, Mr. Fordham. You may go inside and see Mr. Usher.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you so very kindly.
So, a private investigator, are you?
That's right. Miles Fordham is my name.
Jonas Usher, a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure's all mine.
So, it would seem that Miss Lathan has shuffled off the mortal coil, as it were.
I'm sorry to say that is indeed the case.
Please, come in, have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. I only ask that you kindly wash your hands in the basin first, and limit what you touch in here.
This one seems a bit on edge, doesn't he?
Well, he's just a germaphobe. You might as well respect his territory and adhere to the rules, and everything will be peachy.
Adds a nice bit of color to the room. Is there anything more boring than books on law? Just reading the titles is making me drowsy.
I can imagine.
Stern-looking lady.
Very long face.
Judging by how full these bottles are, Usher doesn't indulge much. What a waste.
Bill, behave.
Usher seems to like keeping his guests at a distance.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. I appreciate your cooperation.
Mr. Usher, I have some questions for you.
And hopefully I have your answers.
How long have you been practicing law, Mr. Usher?
Usher and Price has been operating since 1805. I took over from my father 15 years ago. The stress hasn't helped my heartburn, I can tell you that. Why, just last night I was tossing and turning because I couldn't stand the burning in my throat. That's why I've got these bags under my eyes, you know.
Ah, yes. And Mr. Price?
He's still here, although I think he'll probably be retiring soon as well. But the law firm has done well over the years, and I have a feeling it'll do even better in the years to come.
Oh? Why is that?
We're currently beginning a group litigation against Royal Maverick for the Lygia disaster. I'm confident that we'll recover quite a significant sum for the families of those killed. You weren't by chance affected by the disaster, were you?
Thankfully, I wasn't, no.
Shame. You could have joined the class action and done quite well when we win.
You know, I always thought we detectives made our living off human tragedy.
Mr. Usher, I've noticed from your rules and habits that you seem to have a particular aversion to germs. Why is that, if I may ask?
I've been ill most of my life, Mr. Fordham. I was a sickly child, and unfortunately my condition hasn't improved with age. It's a miracle I'm still alive. That's why I'm so careful about exposing myself to germs.
I see.
How's my color? Do I look pale to you?
Not particularly.
I saw myself in the mirror this morning and thought I looked a bit peaked. Also, my leg has been hurting more than usual, which has been cause for concern.
Nah, you've really done it, Miles.
Yes, well, moving on.
Well, I won't indulge your paranoia here, so let's just move on.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
She was a lovely woman. I'm saddened to hear of her unfortunate passing.
How long had you been her attorney?
She retained me some 10 years ago, I believe.
That's quite a long time.
Yes, I remember I had just gotten over a bout of melancholia and been able to work in nearly a month. I didn't think I'd make it out of that, but luckily things took a turn for the better. Miss Lathan came to see me, and I've served as her attorney ever since.
Would you say Miss Lathan is a wealthy woman?
Indeed I would. Her estate is worth a significant sum. Of course, you understand that this is confidential information, so I cannot tell you the exact amount.
Yes, of course. Can you think of anyone who may have wanted to harm Miss Lathan?
No, I can't. What makes you think that someone actually killed her?
It seems the most plausible explanation.
Miss Lathan was getting on in years. It's likely she may have developed a case of pneumonia. That's the most common killer of the elderly, you know. I had it when I was younger. Most unpleasant. Constant coughing, spitting up phlegm, rattling in the lungs. Thankfully, I made a full recovery.
But supposing that was the cause of death, how would it explain the fact that her body was completely burned?
she was a smoker. Perhaps she was having a cigarette when she died and dropped it on the bed, causing it to catch fire.
I found no cigarette butts at the crime scene.
I'm merely offering my opinion, Mr. Fordham. You can take it or leave it.
I think we should leave it.
I agree. Tell me about this will situation. She wanted to change things.
I found this letter in Miss Lathan's bedroom, which mentions that she recently changed her will. Could you tell me a bit more about the circumstances surrounding this change?
That's not an uncommon occurrence. People change their wills all the time. Relatives and friends fall in and out of favor constantly.
Had Miss Lathan made changes to her will previously?
No, this was the first time.
What change did she make exactly?
Just a change to her beneficiary. Nothing out of the ordinary.
And when did this change occur?
About 4 months ago, if I recall correctly. Yes, it was definitely in June, because I'd been in bed with a nasty stomach flu at the end of May. That was no fun, let me tell you. I think I lost nearly 6 pounds from the constant trips to the WC. Couldn't keep a thing down, and whatever did stay down soon came out the other end, if you get my meaning.
I'd say his meaning is regrettably impossible to avoid.
Yes, thank you for the vivid imagery.
Who did Miss Lathan name as her new beneficiary?
Mr. Fordham, please! You know I couldn't possibly tell you that. There is such a thing as attorney-client privilege.
Yeah, but it's kind of the key to solving this. Tell me or I'll sneeze on you. Well, I saved before this conversation. I might as well say this.
Mr. Usher, if you don't tell me right now, I'm going to sneeze on you.
You... what?
I've been very sick lately, and I feel a rather nasty sneeze coming on.
You wouldn't dare.
Oh, wouldn't I? I really need that information.
No! Get out of my office!
Not if you don't, tell me the name.
All right! It's Roger DeVay! That's who she named as her new beneficiary!
I need an address, Usher. I can only hold this sneeze back for so long.
775 Bubblechuck Place in Chumley! Now please get out of here before you infect me!
There, see? That wasn't so hard.
You scoundrel! You nearly gave me a heart attack!
A fine performance, Miles. You've made me proud.
That was fun. That was very fun.
Thank you for your help, Mr. Usher.
The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Fordham.
I also got an achievement for it, named Bless You.
Thankfully, there's nothing else to ask him about right now. Can we please leave?
Yes, we can. I think we've done all the damage here that could have been done. Taking advantage of people's phobias.
Nothing more to ask him right now.
Hopefully we don't have to come back here because I think I kind of burned this bridge. Now, another address in Chumley.
Did Usher give us the wrong address? This should be 775, but there's no building here.
Homeless man. Well, maybe it's him.
These aren't in such bad shape, really. As far as the Chum goes, this is one of the nicer areas. Yeah, those aren't half bad. Too bad they aren't finished. I wonder if they're going to be used to keep the fire going.
Maybe. But he's a homeless man. He's also a painter. And I'm pretty sure that the victim had her recently painted portrait done here by this man.
I used to draw funny pictures of rich people on walls too when I was a kid. Never did a lick of good, but it would always make me feel better.
You know what, Bill? Good for you.
By Chum standards, that's practically a 4-poster.
Oh man, that's rough.
By Chum yeah, those aren't half bad. I wonder if they're going to be... Hey, that's just like the one we had when I was a boy. Good old Rusty. He served us well.
Man, Bill, you had it rough.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
Is this 775 Pumblechook Place?
Yeah, it would be if the building were still here.
Oh, I see. Might I ask you a few questions?
You can ask.
I can ask.
What's your name, sir?
Me? I'm Herman. Herman Shaw.
How long have you been living here?
Oh, I've been here for ages. Since before the building got condemned and was torn down. They pretty much forced us out, you see, but a couple of us came back and set up here. Seemed like a good idea, and I had nowhere else to go. That's not so bad, except for when it rains. And I guess we'll have to bundle up a bit more when it gets cold. But other than that, it's like the place was still standing.
There's some of that classic chum ingenuity. Or maybe it's just delusion.
I don't know if your name is Herman. You might be Roger DeVay in disguise. Well, not disguise. He is wearing his own clothes, but he's lying about his name. Maybe.
You look somewhat familiar. Didn't I see you protesting outside the Harris construction yard?
Yeah, I was there. What of it?
Were you affected by the Ligeia disaster?
Well, nobody I know was killed, if that's what you mean.
So why were you protesting the construction of the Lenore?
That Devons fella promised he'd buy us a meal if we stood in the crowd. And for a free meal, I'd do just about anything.
Ah. Corruption. Lovely. But he was a very unpleasant chap.
What happened to this place? Why was it condemned?
The building was old, in a pretty sad state, so the inspectors came by and said it was unfit for living. There was a whole lot of us here. Most were able to pick up and go, but a few of us stayed.
Why don't you go to a workhouse?
You wouldn't be asking if you'd ever been inside one. It's wall-to-wall people, children crying, sick folk coughing all over you.
But there's plenty of that out here, too.
Well, sure, but out here, there's freedom. Nobody telling you what to do except the odd copper. Not even many of them in this neighborhood. Besides, this is my home. Just 'cause it's missing a few walls don't mean I ought to abandon it.
Do you know Roger DeVay?
Know him? Of course I know him. He lives here with me.
He does?
Well, whenever he decides to come home, anyway. Rest of the time, I suspect he finds a way to sleep at his job. Me, I'd do the same, except I can't stand the smell of the horses.
Do you know where Mr. DeVay works?
Nah, he never told me.
Do you know a woman named Desiree Lathan?
Nah, I don't know many women. They're not too fond of my company. Well, I don't understand why. I always try to be a perfect gentleman. Guess it just don't got the charm. I've asked Roger to give me a few pointers. He's a big hit with ladies, you know.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. He no sooner looks at 'em than they're falling at his feet. Real natural, that one. Never brings it back here, though. Always winds up staying with him, getting a free meal and a soft bed out of it. Ah, well, the bohemian lifestyle ain't for everyone. Maybe someday my luck will change.
I'm sure it will change the day he decides to take a bath.
I thank you for your time.
Maybe give us a shilling or two for the trouble?
I'll consider it.
I'll consider it. Let me sleep on that. In my warm bedroom. So he doesn't know where his friend works, but maybe it's something that we can tell Addie to ask the Grand Dame about. Maybe you could just ask her directly?
I may have more questions for you later.
I can...
Well, she doesn't want to say. Okay, now I think we're ready to schedule that hair appointment business.
Ah, home at last.
Good to see you've made it back in one piece.
Thank you, Addie.
Addie?
What is it, Miles?
I need you to be my partner in crime once again.
About your appointment with Charlotte.
What about it?
Right. These are the things I want you to ask her about.
So you want me to take off about an inch, but keep enough for your curls?
Yes, that's right. You know how I like it, Adelaide.
Has anyone special caught your eye recently?
Ha! No, I think I'm getting too old for most of the young pups I see around these days. Besides, marriage has proved to be more trouble than it's worth. I'm finished with that whole game. Although there was one fellow who came into the supper club today. Pity he was only interested in asking questions.
Oh?
Yes, the dark brooding type. Sleepless nights etched all over his face. Still handsome, though. I invited him to join me for a drink, but he refused. Turned out he was a private investigator, if you can believe it.
Oh? What was he asking about?
Nothing of consequence. I didn't tell him very much anyway.
Probably for the best he didn't join you for that drink then.
Yes, he's very responsible. Sometimes.
How was the Grand Dame's ball? Was your hairdo a hit?
Oh, it was. All those other old biddies were practically fainting with jealousy. Truth be told, though, the evening was rather dull. Just the regular crowd of wags and gossips. You know, sometimes I envy people like you, Adelaide.
People like me?
Yes, you know, ordinary people. Being a member of high society can be so draining. One quite lacks a sense of purpose, of ordinary honest usefulness that comes from a good day's labor.
Have you done much of that sort of labor yourself, madam?
What? No, of course not. But I imagine it must be quite good for the soul, quite grounding. Just being what you are. No airs or pretense. Oh, you've missed a bit there on the left ear. Do be sure it comes out even.
Certainly, madam.
Oh, don't worry, it's gonna be even.
I have to say, your musical selection for today is lovely.
It's nice to know someone like you can appreciate some of the finer points of culture. In case you were wondering, the piece is the Fourth Symphony by a composer named Theophilus von Wagner.
Yes, it's refreshing to hear the Fourth Symphony for a change. Most people know von Wagner for his Fifth Symphony or his Lute Concerto in D minor.
Oh, you know von Wagner?
Although I admit he isn't one of my favorite Baroque composers, I can appreciate what he brought to the movement. I'm more in favor of Scaravaldi. His development of the Concerto Grosso makes for a much richer musical tapestry. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, well, perhaps so.
Do you have any favorites among Scaravaldi's works?
His First Symphony is quite riveting.
Do you mean his Concerto for Mandolin? He didn't have a First Symphony as such.
Well, yes, that's what I meant. As much as I enjoy chatting, perhaps you should concentrate on what you're doing, dear.
Yes, don't worry. I will concentrate very carefully on your even haircut.
Quite chilly out today, isn't it?
Yes, a good day for spending indoors.
Probably means we'll be getting an earlier winter.
It's a good thing I bought a new set of coats then.
I was reading in the paper this morning about what happened with Desiree Lathan. Did you hear about that?
Oh, such a tragedy. Poor Desi. We hadn't talked in a long time, but how terrible to think of her dying in such a horrible way.
My condolences.
Thank you, dear.
Did you and Desiree used to be friends?
Oh, we were like sisters at one point.
What happened?
What else? A man got involved.
You were both after the same man?
No, quite the contrary. We both enjoyed being unattached and had vowed to keep it that way. The spinster sisters, we used to call ourselves. But I fell for a man a few years ago. We got married and Desiree stopped speaking to me.
That's a shame.
Yes, especially considering the marriage only lasted a few brief months. I lost both my husband and my best friend. I'm sure there's a lesson to be learned in that.
I I heard someone mention that Desiree had her portrait painted recently.
Yes, I heard that too. I think it was Caroline who told me. Yes, that was it, Caroline. She was looking for a portrait artist and told me Desiree had found one. Roger DeVay, I think she said his name was.
Roger DeVay? Sounds mysterious. Who is he?
Well, I don't know about mysterious. He's just an artist. Not a very good one either, from what I hear.
He didn't do a good job on the portrait?
Oh, no, he did fine. I just meant he hasn't really taken off. His paintings aren't worth very much, you see. But Desiree took a liking to him very quickly. Even went as far as giving him an extra key to her apartment. If there was anything more going on between them, I couldn't say. But she could have done a lot better, if you ask me. I mean, he's barely even an artist now. I heard he took a teaching position at the university. Now, who would want their likeness immortalized by a lecturer?
I see. Well, I hope he makes it in the world someday.
Miracles may happen.
Uh-huh, the university. Well, and he's still homeless. What the hell?
Good. I think that's all finished.
Thank you, Adelaide. It was a pleasure, as always.
Likewise, Miss Robinow. I'll see you next week. And she didn't tip very well either.
I'm sorry, dear. She sounds positively dreadful.
No more than the other Gascon Grandames. I just hope you managed to get something useful from that.
She didn't tip well because you showed interest in music beyond what she expected. Bitch. What a bitch. Bitch clients.
Have a lovely day, Addie.
I wish you'd let me fix your hair before you go out like that.
It'll be fine.